Coming up on No Pulp, week 4 of college football is in the books, and defending national champs pulled off the upset in the Big House, a statement win with a wild ending for the Michigan Wolverines, Carson.
Plus, Ryan Bridges joins me in the juicer, putting my unbeaten record on the line. Shout out Ian Nicholas.
And we'll wrap up with our final thoughts and our plays of the week. We're going to break it all down because it's No Pulp, and it starts right now.
Kansas State has been on fire this year.
Missouri is one of the most fraudulent teams in college basketball.
And it was proved
They're not going to fire him. He's the best player in program history.
Side to Lawrence for the win! Yes! He got it!
She is the Shohei Ohtani of college softball. This is a team that's potentially going to be a top 10 team in the country.
How you feeling?
I'm excited to win the juicer.
LSU has captured its very first national championship.
Welcome inside the CitrusTV studios for another edition of No Pulp. Chloe Smarz, Carson Fowler recapping another wild week in college football. Many teams got their first action in their new conference, and the Trojans learned that the hard way, Carson. Welcome to the Big Ten USC. They traveled to the Big House to take on number 18 Michigan, a game, Carson, that went down to the end and saw Lincoln Riley lose in his conference opener.
Chloe, if I'm Lincoln Riley, I'm having a Brian Kelly level meltdown after this game. You forced a turnover in the fourth quarter. You score off that turnover. You get the ball back. You then give the ball back to Michigan. You let them go 89 yards to finish off this game, and you lose in the fourth quarter. Unbelievable. They should have won this football game, no doubt.
I have a big bone to pick with Lincoln Riley. And that is, you had 2 weeks to plan for a Michigan team that's rebuilding in a sense. Their offense, they have no identity.
No more J.J. McCarthy, no more Jim Harbaugh.
Exactly. And Michigan had one play all game. You know what that play was? Run up the middle. That's all they did.
290 yards on the ground.
That's all they did. And Michigan had 32 yards through the air. And head coach Sherrone Moore was proud of that after the game. Sherrone Moore, what are you doing? Because that is not the way college football needs to be played. Whether you're in the NFL, whether you're in Youth Pop Warner, you cannot play football just running the ball. You need to be able to throw the ball, and Alex Orji did absolutely nothing.
Chloe,
look at the stats.
Michigan's in a lot of trouble. They don't have a quarterback.
They don't.
It's not Davis Warren. It's not Alex Orji. I don't know what they're going to do. 30 yards in the air, 32 yards rather, was their worst mark since 1987.
Well, thank God they had Cleo Mullings for Michigan, because he basically was their entire offense.
Oh my God, absolutely.
He had a great run, a Marshawn Lynch type run towards the end of the game.
They also got gifted a score on a pick 6 from Miller Moss.
The only good thing I can say about Michigan, right, is that their defense is legit. I think that was a big question coming into the season. Defensively, they had 27 quarterback pressures, 7 hits, 8 tackles for loss, 6 pass breakups, 4 sacks, 3 batted balls, pick 6, a fumble. They did it all on defense, right? And that's how the identity of this Michigan team needs to be, because they can't play from behind offensively, and it's going to bite them in the you-know-what when they have to play Ohio State soon.
I don't think this Ohio State-Michigan game later on in the season is going to be close at all.
No.
Ohio State hasn't really played anyone yet. 2 MAC schools in Marshall, but right now it looks like they're going to get the floor mopped with them.
And I think I didn't have as many questions going to this game about Michigan. I have way more questions about what is this offense? What are you going to do?
ESPN's been singing Michigan praises after this game.
Like I don't understand.
Like they weren't gifted this win.
If I'm a Michigan fan, if I'm a member of this Michigan program, a lot to be concerned about.
I'm very worried.
You need a good quarterback, and I don't think they have one.
Yeah, I'm with you all the way there. Big win for Michigan, I guess. But let's go to the conference where it means just a bit more. Number 6, Tennessee takes down number 15, Oklahoma, for its first SEC win of the season. Head coach Josh Heupel returns to the school he played and coached at and leaves with a W. Chloe, right now I'm having a hard time deciding whether this Tennessee team is really good or if Oklahoma is really bad.
I think this Tennessee team is really good. And pencil them in for the college football playoffs. That's my prediction for the end of this season.
I've got that in here too.
The last time I saw this Tennessee team this good, we weren't alive, so I was watching highlights on YouTube, and it was 3 Mannings ago. Because this Tennessee team is legit. Their defense is absolutely insane. And their defensive
maybe the best in college football.
They are the best in college football. Their defensive line only allowed 36 rushing yards to the Oklahoma State.
Yeah. Tennessee was the better team in this one. Oklahoma just looked lost. 222 yards of total offense and 3 turnovers. I'll give Oklahoma a little bit of the benefit of the doubt in this game. You bench your starting quarterback in Jackson Arnold, and then you give the keys to a true freshman in Michael Hawkins Jr. You can't expect the kid to go out and win a football game when you're down 19-3 when you're handed the keys. It wasn't the equation for them to win this game at all.
And that just proves how good this Tennessee team is on defense. They forced a huge fumble in the red zone, 3 sacks, 8 of their 11 tackles for loss came from this defensive line. And then you look at their secondary. Jermon McCord had a big game, an interception, a pass breakup, allowed 0 catches on 4 targets, an overall stellar performance from this defense, A+. Offensively, though, I'm a little bit concerned for Tennessee. However, 2 of their offensive tackles were out this game, and I think that's why offensively they were a little bit out of sorts. However, what do they say, Carson? Defense wins championships.
Offense sells tickets. Nico Iamaleava, I knew I was going to botch that one, but Josh Heupel does believe in this kid. He was the #1 rated dual prospect coming out of high school in 2024. I think they've yet to play their best football, and that's what Josh Heupel said after their game against Oklahoma. I think Tennessee, like you said, is a dark horse to win the SEC. Not a super strong schedule going ahead.
And what a game this was for Josh Heupel. Let's talk about it. A homecoming, coming back to Oklahoma. He was a quarterback and offensive
no
coordinator.
love lost in this
so
one.
So emotional.
Oh, yeah.
I love this win for Tennessee. But
Me too.
turning to the Big 12, the Utah Utes traveled down to Stillwater to take on Oklahoma State. A game that, by the way, Carson, recorded a turf temp of 145 degrees before kickoff.
That is awful.
That is foul.
That's
A football
disgusting.
game should not be played on that hot of turf. Anyways, the Cowboys tried to make a miracle comeback, but the Utes Carson were able to hold strong on the road. Big win without their star quarterback, Cam Rising.
Yeah, Chloe, this is a big win for Utah.
Huge
One,
win.
it's hard to win on the road in college football. Like you mentioned, it's a lot harder to do without your starting quarterback in Cam Rising. Shout out to Isaac Wilson, Zach Wilson's little brother. Didn't play great, but did what he had to do to get Utah over the finish line. Despite what the final score was, this game was not close. 450 yards of total offense for Utah. They dominated the time of possession. Oklahoma State got like 2 really just bonehead touchdowns in the fourth quarter. This is a great win for Utah.
And it's such a good win because Oklahoma State came into this game with 7 consecutive wins versus AP top-ranked opponents at home.
Really?
You know who's the only other team ahead of them? Georgia. That's how big of a win.
That's pretty good
This
company.
was for Utah. And I mean, from an OSU perspective, I have a lot of questions about this offense. Ollie Gordon, I think as time and time passes, he's just showing that last year he was a one-year wonder. He only had 42 yards in this game. He is the identity of this offense. And then you look at Alec Bowman, well, he was benched. He started the game, then got benched, then went back in. I actually thought he looked good when he went back in the fourth quarter.
Let's talk about the other running back, Micah Bernard. Career day for that kid. 182 rush yards on 25 carries. Kid's been a monster all season long. 3 games already with 100-plus rush yards. His 456 rush yards this season is 6th best among running backs in the nation.
And I think for an Oklahoma State team, they are really, really missing their linebacker Colin Oliver. He went out earlier in the year with an injury, and there were so many plays that I watched that Isaac Wilson was able to run up the middle. That would not happen if he was in that lineup, and I think that's going to hurt Oklahoma State's Big 12 chances. But what I really love is that after this game, Ollie Gordon went on Twitter and was like, "You're going to regret this." And their head coach backed Alec Bowman. That is what you want to see from a program that, sure, this game was close, but you're going to go play a Kansas State team. You got to change the momentum around. And
Totally
they were
agree.
quickly to defend each other, back each other. I love to see that from this Oklahoma State
Utah
program.
definitive college football playoff team, though?
That's for another day.
That's for another day.
And when we come back here on No Pulp, Citrus TV's finest, Ryan Bridges, joins us to battle Carson Fowler in the juicer. That and more when we return.
The black truck? Hey, Christina from accounting.
Yeah, hi.
Hey, I used to date a girl named Christina.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and then she dumped me for my best friend. You want to see some photos of them that I took?
I don't.
I thought we talked about this, buddy.
Buzzed and overshared again?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm gonna call a car.
That's a smart idea.
So, yeah, I know, that's why I did it.
Hey, you're gonna get back to the top of the mountain.
Does that mean I'm gonna get back with Christina?
No.
Oh.
No.
Leaving hot coals improperly extinguished can cause a wildfire.
Hey guys, it's smoke
It looks as if Smokey is going to use the drown, stir, drown, and feel technique. After the first drown, a good start. Next, another drink. And finally, a close feel.
Is it cool? Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, Smokey, catch. Oh, my bad, Smokey.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Hey, Bobo, do trees tell each other stories?
I'm sorry. I'm afraid I don't know that.
Hey, why don't we go find out? Listen.
Can birds draw pictures?
I don't have an answer for that.
Dad, do stars visit their friends?
Look!
It's the best part of No Pulp, guys.
100%.
We're in
It
the
has
juicer.
to be.
It's the juicer.
Hello, Ryan Bridges.
I mean, it's the only part I'm in, so that has to be the best.
Ryan, normally I'd say I'm happy to see you, but I'm not. I'm
here
going to
we
take
go.
you down today.
We're back here on
Hopefully
No Pulp.
after will be
Chloe
okay.
Smarz,
Sorry.
Carson Fowler, Ryan Bridges. We're here to debate. Guys, I want you to shake hands because I have a feeling this is going to get a little aggressive.
Let's be cordial for now.
All right, okay. All
I
right,
can't
to be
promise
fair.
in 3 answers, but
Okay,
we'll be all right.
okay.
First question. We're going to go to you first.
Okay.
Way too early Belindakoff winner is?
It's Travis Hunter. Travis Hunter, Colorado wide receiver and cornerback, superstar athlete for the Buffs. He is my Biletnikoff winner, and I think it's not close.
Ooh.
What he does on one side of the football is already great, but he does it on both sides. In 4 games, 32 catches, almost 500 receiving yards. He's top 10 in the country in receiving yards and receiving touchdowns. He's got 5. And again, he's doing this while also coming off the football field as a corner as well. I don't know a lot of guys that have that kind of motor. There was a sequence in the Colorado State game where Travis Hunter had a pick and then immediately scored on a possession next.
Look, I love what Travis Hunter does on the defensive side of the football. I think he should be a cornerback. That's a debate for another day.
That's a debate
my
for
guy,
later in the show.
My guy is a pure receiver. I'm going Tedero McMillan out of Arizona. 10 catches, 304 yards, and 4 touchdowns in week 1. Couldn't convince you. I don't know what will. Then he goes 11 catches, 138 against Kansas State, a ranked foe. There's not a single other receiver on his team that has more than 100 yards. He has 450. I mean, this guy is the focal point of the defense on every single play, and he still catches everything that's thrown his way.
Less touchdowns
He
and
is
less receiving yards than Travis Hunter.
This Arizona offense, there's no other way to put it. This is a drive from their season. Gains of 6, 4, 22, and 6 when they throw him the football. When they didn't throw him the football, -3, 0, and 3. They quite literally did not gain a single yard when they didn't throw him the football in this drive. I mean, come on.
Don't look at me like
Here's
that.
the thing, Carson.
Don't look at me
I
like
gotta
that.
agree with Bridges. Travis Hunter is a way better corner than he is a wide receiver.
He's a
Give me
great
McMillan
wide
at
receiver.
Arizona.
Thank you.
Point goes to Mr.
Whatever.
Bridges. Bridges, we're gonna go to you on this one.
Okay.
Number 2.
Unbelievable.
Best defensive team in the country is?
Tennessee, the best total defense in the country right now. What they did last week, I mean, you guys were talking about it in the first segment. What they did last week in Norman was just absolutely incredible. They made Jackson Arnold get benched in the second quarter. Oklahoma gained -20 yards in the second quarter. I mean, 3 turnovers that they forced.
They've played no one.
Think about doing that on the road. College game days there in Norman.
Oh my God.
All
They
the
played
hype.
Oklahoma's true freshman quarterback.
I think a lot of people were excited for what Oklahoma was going to do in their SEC debut, and they just fell flat to the best defense in college football.
It's
What do you
Ohio
got?
State. Ohio State is the best defense.
That's a little
Against
biased
Marshall?
considering that you're from Ohio State. But continue
Is
with
it
your
biased
answer.
or is it true?
She's already disagreeing with you.
Buckeyes had the best transfer class that included Caleb Downs, the best safety last year. Let me lay this out for you. We're talking about the best well-rounded defense in the country. They have 10 different players with at least a sack and a half. They have 7 different players with a disrupted pass or more. Have they played 2 MAC schools and Marshall? Yes. But should that discredit what they've been able to accomplish? Absolutely not. They've allowed the least amount of first downs in the country. They're number 1 in that. They have a top 5 pass defense, a top 10 rush defense. Give me Ohio State versus anybody, including the Volunteers.
You just said to Bridges that they didn't play anyone, but then you also just said that Ohio State played teams in the MAC.
Unbelievable.
Bridges again.
I guess I shot myself in the foot
36
there.
rushing yards that they allowed. Question 3, Carson, coming back to you. Most dynamic offensive performance this week was?
Penn State. Penn State. Penn State was the best offensive performance. They set a program record with 716 offensive yards. They defeated Kent State by 56, 40 first downs in this game. Drew Allar finished with 300 passing yards, an 80% completion percentage, 4 total touchdowns, and no turnovers. Nittany Lions lit it up on Saturday. Give me Penn State. Best offensive performance this week.
Bridges.
You know, I know you're a Cavs fan by chance. Remember when Donovan Mitchell scored 70 points?
Anything to do?
Do you remember when Donovan Mitchell
Here we go.
scored 70 points in one game?
I do remember this. Yes.
Well,
71.
JMU did what he did the other day, but in a football game, and they scored 53 of those points in one half. This is not even close. It's the Dukes. They had the most incredible performance that I have seen in a very long time, especially from a team that's not in a power conference. Most points that a power conference team that is allowed.
Their defense scored 2 touchdowns. They had less offensive yards.
So they scored 54
They had 15
points.
less first downs.
So who's a better defense, UNC or Kent State?
But that's not the question. It's
no,
the
no,
best
no, but it
offensive
has a lot to
performance.
do with the question.
I love
it.
it.
It has
so much
nothing to do with the defense.
It's Kent State.
It just asked who had the best offensive
and they
performance
did it on the
this week.
road too.
Enough of me too. It's my turn to speak.
I'm really
And
nervous.
you can't really argue with 53 points in a half, Carson.
You cannot.
And I don't mean to sweep you here. I know we're really good friends, and I hope there's no hard feelings. But Ryan Bridges, drink the juice. You're the winner.
I mean,
of the
I knew
juicer.
I would beat you, but 6-0 is steep.
And when we come back here on No
I'm
Pulp,
speechless.
we'll break down the facts and the fictions across college football. We're going to have some fun after the break.
They said a bottle was just a bottle. That no one would ever notice me. But I knew I could be more. That one day, I would make people smile.
When I was in foster care, I never knew when I would have to move, so I always had my suitcase ready to go. Then one day, I was adopted. My new parents opened their hearts and home to me. My parents cook my favorite breakfast for me every morning. My parents take me on trips I never thought I would go on. They gave me a home and an even better reason to use that suitcase. My parents aren't perfect, but they're perfect for me.
Welcome back to No Pulp. Chloe Smarz, Carson Fowler with you. Tonight we're playing a little fact or fiction. I'll make a statement and we'll tell you whether we believe that statement is fact or fiction. Sounds pretty easy. Got
Sounds
it?
lovely.
Great. Let's get started. Chloe, Colorado's Travis Hunter will be more of a wide receiver than a cornerback in the NFL. Fact or fiction?
I'm going to go fiction here.
Okay.
And I think the whole debate over Travis Hunter is going to be evaluated throughout his play of this entire year. But looking at him right now, I think Travis Hunter is more rare of a corner than he is of a wide receiver. And it will depend on if Travis Hunter wants to go to the NFL for business or if he wants to go to the NFL to play football. And I think he's one of the type of players that wants to be a one-of-a-kind generational-like talent. And I think he can do that at the corner position. It's so hard to evaluate him considering he plays both sides of the ball.
I got to disagree with you here, Chloe.
Oh, you're cutting me off already. Go ahead.
Dion preaches getting his guys paid. Why would Travis Hunter not go to the NFL to be a wide receiver when he can make so much more money at that position than in corner?
Because I don't believe Travis Hunter is going to the NFL.
I've got a stat here. The top 20 wide receivers in the NFL all make $20 million or more. Only the top 5 corners in the NFL make that much.
I think he's just more naturally talented.
I agree with you in that regard.
On the defensive side of the ball. His ability to go 0 to 100 sideline to sideline is like a Cam Chancellor in Legion of Boom when he was with Seattle.
I like that reference.
I truly believe that he can be such a great talent on the defensive side of the ball. Throughout his time in Colorado, 4 interceptions, 45 tackles, and just this season's only allowed 81 receiving yards. And you look at this past weekend against Baylor, if he's not on the defensive side of the ball, they don't win the game.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I like your point about his frame. I think his frame does favor
He's
being
built more to be
6'1",
a DB.
185. That puts him in the 70th percentile among corners in the NFL, where he'd be in the bottom 50 for wide receivers. So I do think he should be a corner, but will that happen? I don't think
I just think there's so many receivers you can grab in free agency, in the draft, that Travis Hunter stands out more as a corner.
We'll see.
We'll see what happens, though.
Next up on Fact or Fiction, here's what we have. Miami. Will they finish the regular season undefeated, Chloe? Fact or Fiction?
Fact. Easiest fact.
Crazy.
And I think
ludicrous,
you
actually.
got to look at Miami's schedule. It is so easy from here on out in the rest of the season, but we'll talk about that in a second. They will go undefeated as long as Cam Moore doesn't get hurt. He's the #1 candidate to win the Heisman.
That's a big if. That is a big if.
You think? Well, I know he's a.
How many teams go perfect the entire season with their whole roster staying intact?
Well, Miami has scored a program record 209 points through 4 games. They have dropped a 50 burger on every single team they have played. I know exactly what you're going to say.
Who have they played? I know we had this conversation in the juicer, but it still holds true. I know I said that shouldn't discredit what they've done. They've destroyed every team they've played, but there's some sneaky good teams
What
on
team
this
is good on here, maybe besides Louisville?
I'll tell you this. I think that Cal game is a trap game if I've ever seen one. They came up a big win against Auburn on the road. Miami's going to have to go 2,800 miles into that game. I don't think Louisville is going to be an easy game either.
I agree with you on that. I don't think that's
Syracuse on senior day?
Oh, yeah, I'm sure. Florida State, hot mess. Duke?
It's just hard to go undefeated in college football. It's not impossible, but I don't think it's going to happen.
But you play in the ACC. You play in the ACC. It's one of the weaker conferences right now in college football. And I know you said they played no one. Let's talk about they just played a USF team that, by the way, Alabama had a hard time beating, okay? They beat this team by 35 points. That's legit. That's my final point.
Make a good final point there. All right, last up here on Fact or Fiction. Ole Miss quarterback Jackson Dart. Is he the best quarterback in the SEC? Fact or Fiction?
Fiction, and you're not going to like what I'm going to say.
I haven't liked a lot of what you said tonight.
Because who has Ole Miss played? They have played, in all respect to the teams that Ole Miss has played this year, but they are junior high school football teams. They played Georgia Southern, they played Middle Tennessee, and sure, he's put up these crazy numbers that remind you of Joe Burrow in 2019.
But the Fact or Fiction question was, is he the best quarterback in the SEC?
He hasn't played anyone in the SEC.
But he still accomplished feats unlike any other. He also played a Wake Forest team that, if you consider that a game, 370 yards and 2 scores. Look at him compared to the other 2 great quarterbacks in the SEC. I see a lot of passing stats. What do Garrett Nussmeier and Quinn Ewers not do that Jackson Dart does really well? Run the football.
Here's what I love about Garrett Nussmeier. And
that's the future, though.
Hear me out. So much talk in the offseason about Quinn Ewers, about Dart, about Jalen Milroe. No one talked about him. He had to come in and replace Jaden Daniels, okay? That's a big task to ask for. And what I love is that
it's pretty hard to replace the Heisman.
Every single game this year, he has gotten better and better. He leads the SEC in completions. He leads the SEC in touchdown passes. He played a great team in USC. He also played a scrappy team in South Carolina. He has things on his resume to prove that I think by the end of the season, he will have a breakout. Quote me on this, on No Pulp. By the time we come back on the show again, he's going to be a breakout player of the year. I'm telling you this right now, and especially against UCLA, he had a great throw to Kyle Parker, and I saw that and I was
UCLA,
like,
we're talking,
that
that's
is
like
an
a game.
NFL level play. That's all.
All right, well, we'll play the clip back next week. When we come back, Chloe and I give our plays of the week, final words. Stick around. No Pulp returns after the break.
Did you know dragging chains can spark a wildfire?
Only you can prevent wildfires.
They told me a bottle couldn't dream. That I would never become a superhero. But I learned how to fly. Just to come back in a new disguise. And be the hero that I've always wanted to be.
Closing out shop here on No Pulp. But before we go, we must end with our plays of the week. And for my pick, I take you all out to the Midwest to Eastern Michigan. And let me ask you all at home watching, when is the last time that you tuned in to a St. Francis Eastern Michigan game? And I can bet that that answer is never. And that is exactly why this is my play of the week. A 0-0 game towards the end of the first quarter, and St. Francis is driving. It's a simple run play from inside the 5. Should be no big deal, right? But St. Francis fumbles the snap. Eastern Michigan defensive back David Carter says, "Not so fast," returns a 99-yard scoop and score to the house. I know Max Crosby was probably watching this at home and screamed, as was I. And if there's one thing my dad taught me, who was my high school football coach, the play's not over until the whistle blows. Pure defensive magic from Eastern Michigan, and every Eagles fan in attendance was loving it. And so was I, to make it my play of the week. Carson, what do you got?
Yeah, clearly you can't stop playing football because the ref blows the final whistle. Eastern Michigan, jeez. My play of the week takes us to beautiful Boulder, Colorado. We'll get to this one quickly. Shedeur Sanders, unreal, rolls to his left, time expires. This is either going to go or it doesn't. And it goes. LeJontay Wester. Are you kidding me? Like, it's hard enough to throw the football in 50 yards. It's even harder to throw it off your back foot. Colorado takes this one to overtime. They actually win this game. Unbelievable catch.
Carson, I can't lie with you. That was a pretty good play. But now for my final word, we go away from college football. And let me tell you something. When I sat on the couch on Sunday preparing for a day of NFL football, I happened to notice what was airing on ABC. And no, it wasn't an NFL pregame show or a stupid soap opera. It was number 4 Louisville versus number 5 Nebraska women's volleyball. And after that match, not only did I become Elena Scott's biggest fan, but I truly believe that volleyball is the next big thing. Over 4,000 people attended, the largest in Louisville volleyball's history. And you might not believe me when I tell you this, but the numbers speak for themselves. Last Wednesday night's matchup between number 5 Nebraska and number 2 Stanford peaked at 350,000 viewers on the Big Ten network. To put that into perspective, college basketball averages 299,000 viewers on ESPN2 and 250,000 viewers on the Big Ten network during the regular season. All this talk about how college basketball is the best time of the year, especially from the guy sitting right next to me. But you saw with women's basketball, when you invest in women's sports, people will watch. And if I had to tell you one thing, and if you're over this whole college football diva money mania, turn on women's volleyball because you'll become a fan. Just watch, Carson.
Yeah, the KFC Yum Center is no joke. Really interesting about college volleyball. My final word, and I acknowledge this may be a hot take, but I'm saying it anyways. Tennessee's 10% talent fee is a good precedent for college athletes in their fight for fair compensation. It's no secret that NIL favors male athletes in revenue-generating sports, and it's only created more inequality between sports teams on college campuses. Could Tennessee afford to pay its players this fee and forego passing that fee on to its fans? Absolutely. The school generated $134 million in football-related revenue last year against $59 million in expenses. That's $75 million in profit if you can't do math. But not every school with college athletics has the brand recognition and fundraising arm as Tennessee. This fee would allow schools to directly pay its athletes and reward them for their hard work and effort, and not just the athletes that generate revenue for the school. This fight is far from over, and I think Tennessee is getting ahead of this, puts them in a great position with the direction college sports is going.
I have to disagree with you there, Carson. I think this opened up a big hot can of worms. But that's all the time we have on this episode of No Pulp. Be sure to check out Citrus TV Sports on YouTube and X. For the two of us and our whole producing crew saying so long and good night.